Move to another presentation by Abdellatif ZOUBAIR, and I guess you all know Abdellatif ZOUBAIR, but yet I'm going to give a brief idea about Abdellatif. So Abdellatif ZOUBAIR is a teacher supervisor in SUSMESA Academy. He holds a BA in English Language and Literature from Mohammed V University, Rabat, in 1980. And of course he has attended a lot of various seminars, conferences in different places, in Morocco, Egypt, Great Britain and the United States of America. He worked for 15 years as head of test design in the Academy. Also, he is a co-author of the English textbook series, Atlas English. And of course, is the co-founder and the first president of MoRCE-Net. Haj Zubair is interested mainly in so many fields, so many like test design, action research, assessments for learning, and professional development. Abdellatif Zubair is going to talk about mobile apps, how to use them in promoting learning and teaching in our English resource centers. Zubair, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is what I'll be. Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I'll be dealing roughly with the topic. I'll try to link it as much as possible to the topic, to the theme of our conference. By the way, I also tried to relate to my experience as an in-service trainer and supervisor in SUSMESA Academy area. And hopefully we'll have time just to have an overview of some experiences and projects that we have in our region. So this is what I'll be talking about roughly. For those of you I've been working with, one of the things I hate most is reading from the slides. I try to avoid this unless I'm facing or there is an audience of sort of visually impaired people, which is not the case, alhamdulillah, today, God forbid. So this is what we'll be talking about. Can you see from the back? Yeah. From a pedagogical point of view, from a pedagogical perspective, why do you think I'm not reading from the slides? Why do I want you to read? Because I want you to think. When there is no thinking, there is no? Thank you. Good students. So, question number one. Why do we need mobile apps? Okay, as we all know, most of us complain that the 3 hours of English that we have for our students is not enough. This is the general tendency. I've been to most remote areas in the south of Morocco. I found that most students, including in remote villages, do have access to cell phones. And we all know, many phones today, even the simplest one, the cheapest ones, come up with applications that are built in. And even if there aren't any, people can download those for free. And as we all know, there is a tendency among students and adults, ourselves included, that we tend to use mobile phones more than computers. Mobile apps also allow us to get access to information wherever we are, anytime we need. And then finally, research has also proved that students prefer to use smartphones or just phones because of the screen size. If you provide the learner with a small space, you want them to react, they feel better to say. Imagine you give them just a screen like this one. Oh, do you want me to complete all this screen? Now with the cell phone, you say, no, I don't want you just to come. I just want you to come up with a comment. A couple of lines are enough. Next question, what are the benefits for our learners? Of course, it provides support for our learning. What we learn in class is not enough. We provide students with certain autonomy. In other words, it's not necessary for me as a teacher to be there all the time in order for you to learn. And of course, they use English and the language for a real purpose. And of course, we need to bridge that gap between the classroom and outside world. And as we said before, we need time for exposure, for more exposure to the target language. And of course, students can learn at their own pace, which is not the case in the classroom. Tell them, you have 3 minutes, I want you to complete the task in 3 minutes. I'm sure you can think about other ideas. Now, as educators, should we just use any app that we come across and say, this is a good one, let's use it with my students? This one, I've seen it on the internet last night. Okay, let's try it. For this purpose, I'm going to share with you an interesting document which has been compiled by Nick Beachy. Nick Beachy is a gentleman that worked for the British Council some time. He's one of my trainers. He was in Morocco for some time. His ideas are available on the net. They are also available on my website. He's a gentleman that I like very much. So he came up with a set of categories for evaluating websites. Number one, which I refer to as technical considerations. We need to make sure that the mobile app is accessible to our learners. At least more of them have access. Is it user-friendly? Can they use it quickly? There are apps that you need to train your students to use. They need time. Others, they can start right away after 5 seconds. They can be used, do they need registration? If they do, you need some time, but then you'll have chaos in the class. Oh, teacher, I lost my password. Teacher, I can't remember the password. So, look for the ones that don't read, that require registration. And of course, security. You need to make sure that the app developers keep students' personal information safe. Now, the other category is, of course, financial. As we all know, not just students, but also us educators cannot afford, so we look for free materials. There are, alhamdulillah, a lot of them online. And we also need to make sure to know a little bit about the people who are developing the app. Is it a reliable source or not? What happens sometimes is that you've got a certain person, X, who comes up with an app, and after some time it just disappears. Our next, of course, the next category is motivational. We need to make sure if this app helps our learners develop certain digital skills. Is there authenticity? In other words, are they using that app for an authentic purpose? Or is it just they're using it because it's colorful, for example? And of course, does it allow the users to personalize, to use their personal identity? It's not one we say, I want you now, you are Muhammad, I want you to be John, imagine you are John, imagine you live in London. No, I want to be Muhammad, I come from Tariwin or from Timir, I want to be myself. Next category is pedagogical, of course. We need to make sure that there is an outcome. I want you to use this map, but I want you to come with the final product. I want you to come with a letter, a slideshow, a real outcome. Make sure that the app allows for a certain interaction, and of course make sure that it can be used for some time. For example, I came across recently an app that helps students just practice the use of it and in. This is something students can use just for maybe 5 minutes and then you lose it. It's not worth the time. Make sure there is a tool, a feature of evaluation. It could be self-evaluation. There are applications that tell the learners now you get to grade 1, now you go to grade 2, 3. And some of them, they can even allow the educators themselves to conduct this evaluation. Of course, we need to make sure that there is a sort of an audience outside class, and we need to make sure that learners can use the app independently. When the learners are outside, when they are home, they don't need, okay, I can't use this because the teacher is not around. This is roughly, by the way, you have this document on in the references. There's I've used this set of mobile applications because we tried them in the Agadir area with the teachers. Some of them are here. Now, would you please raise your hand if you are familiar with any of these? Can you have a quick look? Very good. So, we'll get to this later. Now, are there any constraints? Of course there are. One of them is the cost. We need to make sure that, as we said, they are free. We need to keep the notion of security. This is personal information. We need to make sure that it's taken care of. We need to take into account the fact of privacy of students. Once you need to set the rules for students, not just go into class and then take a picture of each other and then you get into problems later on. And of course, if a certain app requires me as a teacher to spend a sleepless night to get it ready the following morning, just forget about it. Look for something that's ready to use. And of course, you need to keep in mind, some of them might create a sort of discipline problems in class. Look for an app that can be used right away with no problems at all. And they've got students now moving around, how can I use it? How can I turn it on? How can I turn it off? Okay. Where do we go from here? From modest experience with myself and the group I've been working with. These are just some tips. As we said, you need to carefully select appropriate ones. You need also to plan. I talked yesterday about real planning. Before I look for an application, I need to go back to the syllabus, not just the textbook. My deuxième année bac physique have problems with this aspect of grammar. So I need to go home and look for applications that address this very objective. Or I should look for macro skills. My students are poor at reading. I need to look for materials for applications that are targeted towards this aim. So first you need to sit down, as I said yesterday, note down the skills, the competencies you want to develop. And of course, you need to keep in, as we said, the privacy and make sure before you start, you need to set the rules with your students. You can do that in Arabic. I don't mind personally. Before they start, please kids, we're going to use mobile apps in class. I don't want you to use personal information. I need to get you to promise me that you're not going to take pictures of each other, even if you have to make sure you don't publish them online, because they get in trouble with you, only with your parents. And I don't want that. And then we've got a set of materials here. I would just recommend the second document. You'll have this document. I think it will be on my website within the next few minutes, so you can access it together with all materials. As I said at the beginning, I've already tried some of these apps we teach you in my area. I'll just show you how much time do I have left?
8 minutes.
8, very good. Thank you. So I'll just show you a short video. Some teachers in my area, maybe some of them are here, have tried some of these apps. This is their feedback.
Second, it's intuitive and user-friendly. So students just type the words they want and they find the definition. So page 3, it provides rich vocabulary with examples in context plus pronunciation. As for trying in class, yes, I tried, but with advanced level classes like secondary vocabulary, because it requires some language skills. Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ahmed Shawar, and I am teaching in Abdellatif School. Well, my favorite application is Moodle. And in fact, what I like about this application is the fact that it is just like Facebook. So it's a social media for educational purposes. In fact, in Moodle you can share with students everything, anything, starting from pictures, with lessons, even any kind of videos, handouts. You can ever give them assignments there. You can open discussions there, and even for preparation, for quizzes or for tests, so you can have it there. And in fact, students like it. So I've been using it. In fact, no, it's the second year. So and it's really very successful. And every day I have new members in the group because it can be used both for students, teachers, and every day is the option of parents. Though in our context it's not yet the case, but it's worth being used with students, and I think it's very useful for us as teachers. Thank you.
My name is Abdellatif. I'm a teacher in elementary high school. Actually, one of my favorite applications I encourage my students to use is Johnny Grubber. It's a really useful application for students in high school because it includes, as you can see, 3 sections. So the first one is for grammar, the second is for vocabulary, and the third one is for spelling. You may, as you can see here, there are different topics. For instance, for vocabulary, each student may access the one rubric that they would like to improve their vocabulary about. And there is another positive point to this application, which is the fact that you have different levels. So you have the easy, the medium, and the difficult. Something that is very interesting for my students. Thank you very much.
I'm not saying that this is my favorite, but one of the ones that I keep trying, because you can't really, you have to choose one that a lot of teachers have used before. So when you usually go to these apps, you check how many times it was downloaded. So this one, for example, was downloaded about over 100,000 times, but it does not put it at the same level as the top 10 you should choose. But why don't you try something new every time, just to it gives you, all of them, they work in the same way. They provide you with repertoires of what you want to work in, either grammar, spoken English, if you want to have quizzes, and these are samples of those quizzes when you come to school. Here are adjectives, adverbs, conjunctions, idioms, interjections, nouns, working on the parts of speech, etc. Everything is included the same way. I wouldn't say that this one is better than another one, but this is just one more many.
Okay, by the way, this video and other videos are available on our website, so you can just log into the website and you'll find them. Some of the teachers present here have posted them up. Thank you very much.